Jessica Tarlov just stepped on a landmine during last week's airing of The Five. The Fox News host came out of nowhere to straight up pronounce Donald Trump guilty in the E. Jean Carroll assault case, likely causing mayhem among the producers at what the network may have just found itself in. However, there's one character in this saga you absolutely cannot miss, and that's Greg Gutfeld. Despite Jessica steering the conversation off topic, Greg stopped the panel to let her make her case completely, but first try to sense that tinge of unease in Jesse Waters that makes him try to gloss over the subject in this next clip.
Leave the White House more than once a week, ask Bill and Barack to raise money for you, and hope a pop star endorses you. Jessica, this is not the re-election strategy of a winning campaign. This smacks of desperation, and the fact that he's clinging to Taylor Swift, who he couldn't even pick out of a lineup without Jill going like this. That's Taylor. Tells me everything you know about Joe Biden.
Is the strategy to owe $83 million for defaming a woman that you sexually assaulted?
I would love Taylor Swift's endorsement. Any politician would. But I like people like Kid Rock.
Because that was the news from the weekend on that side. And then Joe Biden was 15 minutes late to church.
You know why that is? The current E. Jean Carroll case that Jessica just referenced has turned out to be a litany of back and forth defamation lawsuits between her and Trump, ballooning into tens of millions of dollars that Fox News absolutely does not want to get dragged into. And from a different angle, perhaps the network and host Jesse Waters understand where the loyalties of their audience lies, and someone on the panel asserting Trump's guilt in a contentious case like that is sure to come as a curveball to them. I actually would have liked the panel to do what Greg Gutfeld does next, being willing to listen to someone out of turn for the show and letting the audience hear it as well.
Let's talk about that lawsuit then. Go ahead, Jessica. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts are that you shouldn't sexually assault people and then you shouldn't defame them.
Okay, was he found guilty of sexual
assault?
Was. He was a criminal?
He was by a jury.
Was a criminal?
It was civil.
Yeah. Oh, that means it doesn't count? Okay.
It means it's not a guilty verdict.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, it's always nice to bring something up that has nothing to do with the topic.
It does. You said the campaign strategy.
You know, just stop interrupting everybody.
Long week ahead.
There's a lot of haze around this case as it regards whether Donald Trump is actually guilty of forcing himself upon E. Jean Carroll, and we'll leave that to the courts. But perhaps it is most important to clarify an important word that Greg Gutfeld just used there. A civil case is very different from a criminal one and comes with many different standards of evidence, establishment of liability, and compensation or punishment than a criminal case. A civil case, especially regarding an event like this where evidence is bound to be scarce, has much lower standards for where its verdict tilts. In legal terms, quote, preponderance of evidence is used to establish that an event happened more likely than not. And it's that tilt in one direction that eventually ends in someone being held liable rather than guilty. It's important to keep this verbiage in mind because civil cases usually end in compensation or reconciliation rather than a punishment, and using the word guilty so flippantly makes it sound very different to the layman's audience.
Strange verdict. This was a claim. It was a case all along, and the jury rejected that, but made other findings, so we'll obviously be appealing those other findings, but they rejected her claim, and she'd always claimed this was a case. So it's a little perplexing, but, we move forward.
It's not just this fact that has complicated the case beyond what most people understand, but also E. Jean Carroll's older interviews, including those in recent times, that are confusing people on whose side they should really be on. One such interaction happened not too long ago when MSNBC's Rachel Maddow asked E. Jean how she would like to use the money she'll likely get from the Trump defamation lawsuit to advance women's rights and issues. And her response was, I guess, a mixture of ill-placed humor and an uncomfortable degree of callousness towards her allegations and the ensuing legal battles.
I had such great ideas for all the good I'm going to do with this money. First thing, Rachel, You and I are going to go shopping. We're going to get completely new wardrobes, new shoes, motorcycle for Crowley, new fishing rod for Robbie. Rachel, what do you want? Penthouse? It's yours,
Nothing.
Rachel. Penthouse and France? You want France? You want to go fishing in France? No? Oh, all right, okay.
That's a joke. Although if me fishing in France could do something for women's rights, I would take the hit. You know, I would obviously.
She got a lot of heat for these comments, as you can tell by how her attorney quickly clarifies it was a joke so as not to hurt her case or public image further. Political commentators came at her for allegedly letting down victims of assault and hurting their image by extension, with some even saying that it was, quote, never about women's rights in the first place. It's also important to remember that the figure you're hearing of $83 million since January concerns the defamation case lodged by E. Jean and not the assault case that has already been decided. Looking at the verdict form of the New York District Court for the actual case that started it all, you see the same legalese used with the words preponderance of evidence, referring to which side the judge tilts regarding the allegations. The first point is just as important to note as the second one here. While keeping in mind the civil case, it is, along with everything it entails. Predictably, the case has renewed interest in E. Jean Carroll's life and career, with people trying to better understand the woman that has come up with a case so damaging to Trump financially and politically. This next clip during her show in 1996 is one such moment that left some people scratching their head.
Yes, my darling Flopsy Pudding. The biggest man-handling trick of all is to know that there is no trick. All you have to remember is that you're a woman, and if you're a woman, you're precious. Okay? Yes, my darlings, chasing men is the highest amusement there is, but man-handling the difficult little buggers is something else. Call me. Here I come. I'm gonna come and get you guys. Okay. Where are all these ugly guys? Is there anybody here who weighs under 400 pounds? Oh my God, how fabulous. Each one more dazzling, more resplendent than the other. Come out here, nobody chose you, you poor thing. This is Andre. Go on out there, Andre. Nobody cares about you.
Being a very prominent television personality in the 90s and being an active socialite in the New York City scene, E. Jean likely had interactions with Donald Trump decades ago. There's even a photo of the two from an NBC event back in 1987, which at least does some damage to Trump's claim that he has no idea who she even is. Regardless, this is a case that is likely to drag further and drain at Trump's finances and reputation. While that happens, a panel like The Five or a network like Fox News knows the thin line that they're walking when discussing any legal case. Jessica Tarlov may not have much in common with Greg Gutfeld politically, but the mere fact that there was a conversation spurred on by a willingness to listen to her shows how important it is for dialogue and dissent to keep happening in our mainstream media.